Imagine a missile so powerful, it could wipe out entire countries within minutes. This isn't a plot from a science fiction movie. It's the chilling reality of the R-36, known to NATO as the SS-18 Satan. Designed during the Cold War by the Soviet Union, this intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, remains one of the most formidable weapons ever created. Join us as we explore the terrifying capabilities of the R-36 and understand why it's often referred to as the missile that could destroy the entire Earth in just a few hours. Let's consider a scenario where Russia decides to attack New York City with the R-36 SS-18 Satan. Imagine a clear, quiet morning over the Russian steppes, where an R-36 missile is prepped for launch. Deep within an underground silo, the missile sits, a silent testament to the ultimate destructive power. At the command center, a sequence of highly secure protocols and commands are initiated, culminating in the launch sequence. As the countdown reaches 0, the R-36 roars to life, its engines igniting with an immense burst of energy. The missile rises from the silo, propelled by a powerful first-stage rocket motor that generates tremendous thrust. The launch site trembles as the R-36 ascends into the sky, quickly disappearing into the upper atmosphere. The missile follows a precise ballistic trajectory, arcing high above the Earth. It travels at speeds exceeding 24,000 kilometers per hour, about 15,000 miles per hour, guided by onboard inertial navigation systems and potentially aided by satellite updates. Within minutes, it reaches the apex of its flight, high above the atmosphere, before beginning its descent towards its target, New York City. As the missile nears its target, the re-entry phase begins. The warhead, protected by a heat shield, re-enters the atmosphere at high velocity, its trajectory carefully calculated to strike precisely over Manhattan. Upon the detonation of the R-36 missile over New York City, the sheer magnitude of the explosion would unleash a fireball of unimaginable proportions. This fireball, the first phase of the apocalyptic event, would be the epicenter of destruction. At the heart of this explosion, the fireball would expand to a radius of approximately 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, in a matter of milliseconds. The temperatures inside the fireball would reach several million degrees Celsius, rivaling the core of the sun. Such temperatures are capable of vaporizing any material almost instantaneously, reducing buildings, vehicles, and living beings to atomic dust. This inferno would engulf much of Manhattan, from Central Park to Wall Street. Iconic landmarks like the Empire State Building, the One World Trade Center, and the Chrysler Building would vanish in a flash. The heat would be so intense that it would melt steel structures and turn concrete to ash. Times Square, typically teeming with life and lights, would be reduced to a charred wasteland. Within this 5-kilometer radius, no form of life would survive. Human bodies caught in this zone would be instantly incinerated, leaving no trace. The overwhelming light and heat would blind and scorch any survivors in the surrounding areas, signaling the cataclysm to those farther away. The detonation would produce a blinding flash visible for hundreds of kilometers, outshining the sun and casting shadows far and wide. The initial burst of light would be so intense that it could cause temporary blindness to those who directly observed it from tens of kilometers away. A massive mushroom cloud would rapidly form, towering tens of kilometers into the sky. This cloud would consist of superheated gases, vaporized debris, and radioactive particles. It would loom ominously over the city, visible for miles, and serving as a grim testament to the devastation below. Immediately following the formation of the fireball, a powerful blast wave would radiate outward. This wave, traveling faster than the speed of sound, would carry with it a force capable of leveling the city. The blast wave is a shockwave of compressed air created by the immense release of energy from the explosion. As it moves outward from the epicenter, it exerts an intense overpressure on everything in its path. This overpressure is measured in pounds per square inch, psi, and the levels experienced in this scenario would be lethal over a wide area. Within a 15-kilometer, 9.3-mile radius from the detonation point, the blast wave would create an overpressure of more than 5 psi. This pressure is sufficient to demolish most buildings and infrastructure. In the immediate vicinity of the blast, pressures could exceed 20 psi, which would obliterate even reinforced concrete structures. The force of the blast would flatten much of Manhattan and extend into the surrounding boroughs and parts of New Jersey. Skyscrapers would be toppled or shattered, their steel frames buckling under the immense pressure. Residential buildings, offices, and historic landmarks would collapse, leaving behind a landscape of twisted metal and rubble. Bridges connecting Manhattan to Brooklyn, Queens, and New Jersey would be severed, plunging vehicles and debris into the rivers below. Subway tunnels would collapse, trapping any survivors underground. Critical infrastructure, including power lines, water mains, and gas pipelines, would be destroyed, leading to secondary explosions and fires. Anyone within the immediate blast radius who survived the initial fireball would face lethal forces from the blast wave. The overpressure would crush lungs, rupture internal organs, and cause severe blunt force trauma. Debris propelled by the blast would turn into deadly projectiles, further increasing the casualty count. Beyond the immediate 15-kilometer radius, the shockwave would shatter windows and cause structural damage to buildings as far as Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. The noise of the explosion and the shockwave would be deafening, causing hearing damage and panic among the population. Following the fireball and blast wave, thermal radiation would spread over a vast area, igniting fires and causing widespread burns and destruction. The thermal radiation emitted by the explosion would be intense enough to ignite flammable materials up to 20 kilometers, 12.4 miles, away from the detonation point. This radiation, traveling at the speed of light, would reach these distances almost instantly. Within a 10-kilometer, 6.2-mile radius, the heat would be so severe that it would cause third-degree burns on exposed skin and ignite clothing and other flammable materials. The energy released in this thermal pulse would be equivalent to several thousand degrees Celsius, sufficient to start fires across a large area. In a densely packed urban environment like New York City, the ignition of multiple fires would quickly lead to a firestorm. This phenomenon occurs when individual fires merge into a massive, self-sustaining blaze that generates its own wind system. The firestorm would draw in oxygen at hurricane-force speeds, feeding the flames and spreading them rapidly across the city. The combined heat from these fires would be so intense that it would create its own weather system, with updrafts capable of lifting burning debris high into the atmosphere. This conflagration would consume everything in its path, leaving nothing but ashes and smoldering ruins. The thermal radiation and ensuing fires would result in a staggering loss of life. Survivors of the initial blast would face severe burns and smoke inhalation, further complicating rescue and medical efforts. The fires would engulf buildings, vehicles, and anything combustible, creating a deadly environment that few could escape. The smoke and soot from the fires would blanket the city, creating a thick, toxic haze that would be difficult to breathe and obscure visibility. This smoke would rise into the atmosphere, potentially contributing to nuclear winter effects by blocking sunlight and cooling the Earth's surface. Long after the fireball, blast wave, and thermal radiation have subsided, the deadly effects of radiation and fallout would continue to wreak havoc. The initial burst of radiation, composed of gamma rays and neutrons, occurs within the first minute after detonation. This radiation would be lethal to anyone exposed within a few kilometers of the blast. Survivors within this zone would suffer from acute radiation sickness, characterized by nausea, vomiting, hair loss, and severe burns. Without immediate medical treatment, death would follow within days to weeks. The explosion would eject a vast amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere, forming a characteristic mushroom cloud. This cloud would drift with the wind, spreading radioactive particles over a wide area. As these particles settle back to Earth, they would contaminate the ground, water, and air. Given New York City's prevailing wind patterns, the fallout could spread across much of the northeastern United States, including major cities like Philadelphia and Boston. The contamination would render large areas uninhabitable, leading to long-term health issues such as cancer, genetic mutations, and other radiation-induced illnesses. The detonation of a nuclear warhead generates a powerful electromagnetic pulse, EMP. which can disrupt or destroy electronic systems over a vast area. An EMP is a burst of electromagnetic radiation resulting from the explosion's interaction with the Earth's atmosphere. This pulse can induce electric currents in electronic circuits, leading to widespread failures of power grids, communication networks, and other critical infrastructure. The EMP generated by a 20 megaton explosion over New York City would affect an area extending well beyond the blast and fallout zones. It could disable electronic systems across the entire northeastern United States, plunging the region into darkness and chaos. The environmental impact of a 20 megaton nuclear explosion over New York City would be severe and long-lasting. The explosion would release massive amounts of dust, soot, and radioactive particles into the atmosphere. These particles could block sunlight, potentially leading to a nuclear winter scenario. The resulting drop in temperatures could disrupt global weather patterns, affecting agriculture and leading to food shortages. The fallout from the explosion would contaminate the soil, water, and air over a vast area. The radioactive particles would pose a long-term hazard to human health and the environment. The contamination would make large areas uninhabitable and disrupt ecosystems, leading to a decline in biodiversity and long-term ecological damage. Before we delve into the other destructive capabilities of the R-36 missile, let's explore its technical features. The R-36 ICBM, also known by its NATO designation SS-18 Satan, was conceived in the 1960s amidst the high-stakes tension of the Cold War. Developed by the Soviet Union, this missile was designed to outmatch any potential threat posed by the United States and its allies. The Soviets aimed to create a missile that could deliver a devastating payload over vast distances, ensuring their place as a formidable superpower in the nuclear arms race. The first version of the R-36 entered service in 1974, and over the years, it has seen numerous upgrades. Its most advanced iteration, the R-36M2, boasts capabilities that remain unparalleled even today. The development of the R-36 was driven by the concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD, a doctrine where both superpowers had enough nuclear firepower to ensure that any initial strike would be met with a catastrophic counterstrike, effectively deterring both sides from initiating a nuclear war. The R-36 is not just a missile, it's a harbinger of apocalypse. With a length of over 34 meters and a weight exceeding 209,600 kilograms, about 462,000 pounds, the SS-18 Satan is a behemoth of engineering. It can carry a payload of up to 10 warheads, each with a yield of 750 kilotons to 1 megaton, or a single massive warhead with a yield of up to 20 megatons. To put that into perspective, the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of about 15 kilotons. Each warhead on the R-36 is thus up to 67 times more powerful. What sets the R-36 apart is its ability to carry multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MIRVs. This means that a single missile can release several warheads, each aimed at different targets. This MIRV technology allows the SS-18 to obliterate multiple cities or military installations in one strike, effectively overwhelming any missile defense systems. The missile's range is equally daunting. Capable of traveling over 16,000 kilometers, about 10,000 miles, the R-36 can strike any target across the globe. This extensive range, combined with its rapid deployment time, makes it a cornerstone of Russia's strategic deterrent capabilities. Once launched, the SS-18 can reach its targets in less than an hour, unleashing its destructive power with little to no warning. In addition to its raw power, the R-36 is equipped with sophisticated countermeasures to evade missile defense systems. It employs decoys and electronic jamming techniques to confuse radar systems and anti-missile defenses. These features ensure that a significant portion of its warheads can penetrate even the most advanced defense networks, making it an almost unstoppable weapon. The missile's guidance system is another marvel of engineering. Using inertial guidance combined with star sensors, the R-36 achieves remarkable accuracy, with a circular error probable, CEP, of less than 500 meters. This precision ensures that each warhead can hit its designated target with devastating effectiveness. Moreover, the R-36's silos are hardened against nuclear attacks, ensuring that they can survive an enemy first strike and retaliate effectively. This survivability makes it a crucial element of Russia's second strike capability, reinforcing the principles of MAD by guaranteeing a powerful response even after an initial attack. The psychological impact of the R-36 extends beyond its military capabilities. Its nickname, Satan, reflects the fear and awe it inspires. The thought of a missile capable of ending life on Earth as we know it is a sobering reminder of the destructive power humans have harnessed. It underscores the importance of nuclear disarmament and the need for continued efforts towards global peace and stability. Imagine a scenario where Russia decides to unleash its entire arsenal of R-36 SS-18 Satan missiles. With over 50 such missiles in service, each capable of carrying multiple warheads, the combined destructive power is almost incomprehensible. This scenario envisions not just the annihilation of individual cities, but the potential for global devastation within a matter of hours. As we move further into the 21st century, the role of the R-36 and missiles like it remains a topic of intense debate. While newer missile systems are being developed, the SS-18 Satan continues to be a key component of Russia's nuclear triad. However, discussions around arms control and disarmament, such as the New START Treaty, emphasize the need to limit the number of these apocalyptic weapons. In the coming years, we may see the gradual decommissioning of the R-36 as newer technologies replace it. Yet, its legacy will endure, serving as a testament to an era defined by the threat of nuclear annihilation and the pursuit of strategic dominance. The story of the R-36 is not just about its terrifying capabilities, but also about the lessons learned from living under the constant shadow of such immense power. And there you have it, the formidable R-36 or SS-18 Satan, a missile that symbolizes the terrifying heights of the Cold War arms race and the sobering reality of nuclear power. As we look to the future, the existence of such weapons reminds us of the critical need for dialogue, diplomacy, and disarmament. Stay informed, stay engaged, and join the conversation about the world's most powerful weapons and their impact on global security. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more in-depth looks at the history and future of military technology. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.